editor's note. Fifth time! Fifth time, man. Jesus. So I watched a video the other night called On Liminality by Short Fat Otaku, or SFO for short. Perhaps it's not the dumb thing to ride off the coattails of a more successful YouTuber as my very first video, but fuck it. This video resonated with me and I feel I must talk about it. So after I finished watching it in bed, I got immediately inspired to write the script. It's honestly because the video spoke to me in a deep way. I found myself identifying very strongly with the idea of liminal existence. So before I begin, I would highly recommend you check out Dev's video before you watch mine to get context, since he does a great job of explaining this idea, but I will also try to define it as well to the best of my skeletal ability. I think I got this definition from the front page at Google. Anyway, it says, liminality is a state of transition between one stage and the next, especially between major stages in one's life or during a rite of passage. I only ever understood this idea from a theological context when it comes to the idea of liminal zones, which are basically areas in which you must cross a threshold like a church or a graveyard, since graveyards are places of both life and death. The bodies decay, and they create life, and are both those things, and neither of them, while also a place I go on dates with girls. Yes, I've actually done this before. You know, gotta get my goth cred. I never would have thought to apply this to the context of my life, but I started to realize how much it actually made sense where I am currently, much like Dev. I am also in a liminal state. I'm a university dropout. I basically did a useless liberal arts degree, which I very, very much regret. God. And I'm between jobs just trying to find ways to make money at this point. There's lots of projects I've abandoned due to lack of interest, and I come to realize that my life really doesn't have all that much closure. The major difference, at least between us though, is I'm very much the nihilist that he talked about in the video. In fact, I had a phase where I called myself one. Yes, I know how fucking stupid and edgy that sounds. I don't really feel a part of anything, I don't even really feel a part of my own culture, I just sort of exist. I do know I'm at least living the extreme version of liminality, and I do want to ground myself more in some aspects, but I'm starting to realize that it isn't a complete negative, and in fact it's what I find most comfortable. But although I had no words for this until now, I always thought of it as a bad thing. I think deep down I wanted the closure, the sense of ending, for my transition to finally happen. It's what I've been taught to want ever since I was young, and back then I wasn't this way. I lived a very non-liminal existence. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to go through the same motions as everybody else. But as I grew older, my personality changed to what it is now, and realizing that this is a valid way to exist, I feel more comfortable with myself. Sure, I need to rein in my flakiness. I don't really enjoy the fact I've let people down in the past because I would run a tabletop game or a group activity and just get bored of it and quit. But I think the more I accept this liminal behavior, and the more I accept myself, I feel I'll be able to control it better, and to be able to live with myself more. In a lot of ways, when I think about it, this is how society currently is. Modernity is basically just one giant liminal period for everybody. We are the bleeding edge of technology and human forethought, even if it may not seem like it sometimes. We feel uncertain, we have no idea which way we're going to go, much like the same liminal feeling of looking at an empty, abandoned-looking hallway as mentioned in Dev's video. Things don't always need to be neatly resolved, and that's okay sometimes. What's far more important is just all the little things along the way that you do. I was always worried, it's probably another reason why I would abandon so many projects, is that I always thought, if this became successful, would I always have to do this? And if so, would I even want to? I end up self-sabotaging, but in the weirdest sense, although things can't ever last, I get a strange sense of peace about that. And that's not unfamiliar, either. I'm sure many of you have heard a variation on the saying of pain is temporary, or happiness is temporary, whether you're feeling edgy or not that day. These expressions sort of point out the inherent, constant liminality of life, and whether we realize it or not, all of us are constantly crossing thresholds, and for some like myself that I'm now discovering, we like to sit on the border being ill-defined like a pretentious art piece. So I genuinely want to say to you, Dev, if you somehow magically find this video, because believe me, I don't think the chances are that high, thank you. You helped me more than you realized. So count this as an introduction to my channel. I'll be discussing science fiction, futurist philosophy, occultism and mythology, and various other topics I may be interested in, yeah, blah 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 blah. I'll also be starting a blog soon which will review and discuss gaming. I've actually already done that, I'll put the link down in the description. And I livestream over on the Faithless VODs channel, and on Twitch and other places on Thursdays and Fridays. I think most of my life I've tried to live a standard existence, but I want to fully embrace my natural liminality. I gain more from the experience than I do the closure. Have a good one. Hope this helped someone out, maybe? I don't know. I know most of this was basically just a self-circle jerk, but hey, I guess most of these introduction videos tend to be because, you know, people want to be like, well, who is this guy? And, yeah, it turns out I'm just another person trying to be relevant. Peace out, people. Have a good one.